we're going to do whatever it took to win.
Again, the flick. Jensen is over.
At that time, I was like, I may just have to give this away. Like, it's just one of those things that's going to be too hard, especially with no guarantee of getting a first grade contract. It's okay to talk, and you got people out there that are probably in the same situation as you that would be more than happy to listen.
Hey guys, it's Lachie. Welcome back to the Remember When pod. Today I sat down with Broncos prop and Premiership winner Corey Jensen. Such a legend, such a good chat. Talked everything from obviously winning the comp last year, him growing up, why mental health is so important to him, and did a little quickfire questions again. So, yeah, let's get into it. Also, shout out to the boys at River City Studios Brisbane for hooking me up with this place. I know it's probably better than what you guys are used to, but yeah, check them out. I'll link them in the description and on Instagram. Hey guys, just a quick favor to ask that if you're not subscribed, can you please subscribe now? It's just going to help us build the show, get bigger guests on the show. It can help the show be better for you guys. You guys can get more out of it, be more entertained, and just build the overall level of the show. Now we're done with that. Let's get into the episode. Corey Jensen, welcome to the pod, mate. Thanks for jumping on.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
Just in Brizzy for the day. What's going on? I know you live up in Townsville during the off-season. What have you been up to since the big win?
Not a lot, to be honest. Like you said, back up in Townsville, I tend to head back up there most off-seasons. All my family and my wife's family are based sort of up North Queensland, so still got a house there, so I get up there and spend most of the off-season in the warm weather. Yeah.
Do you come back down to Brizzy much or just stay up there pretty much the whole time?
Pretty much just stay up there most of the time. Other than if I have to come down for certain things or whatnot, then I'll make a trip down. But I tend to, because we got a long break, I tend to drive up to North Queensland, so have the car and everything there, so it's just easier to stay there for the majority of the time. And other than if I go away on holidays or anything, it's based in North Queensland.
Yeah, do you just like during the off season? Are you just like straight like chill mode, doing nothing, or do you still like to get down the park or go for a run, that sort of stuff?
No, I'm pretty, I enjoy exercise. I feel better doing it anyway. So I try and do something most days. Doesn't have to be strenuous or like we do in preseason and stuff, but it's just trying to keep the body moving. And you get a bit older now, so it's probably important that you keep the body moving. Otherwise, it gets too hard otherwise.
All right, I just want to get straight into it, honestly. Talk about the 2025 season. Doesn't get much better than how you boys went or doesn't get better than how you boys went last season, winning the comp. I want to touch on that in a bit, but I sort of want to talk about you as an individual in 2025. You played 25 games, 94% tackle efficiency, and you signed a 2-year extension. So going into the year, was it not that you were unsure if you were going to get that extension? Did you have to step up a bit, or were you pretty confident in yourself from the start?
Well, I knew my role within the side. We've obviously got some very talented individuals in terms of middles and that going forward, and I'm a bit of an older head now. So obviously my goal was to stay in the club. I just see myself there as not only someone that can sort of provide a different avenue there at the Bronx, but also be able to help nurture the young middles coming through, especially some exciting middles through there. So for me, I always wanted to stay. I know how contracts work, like you said, been around for a while now. So as long as you're playing some consistent footy, which I try and base my game around consistency, not the flashiest player, but I try and do my job each and every week. So as long as I did that, I knew that contracts come around as long as you're playing well, and I was fortunate enough to be able to stay for a couple more years.
Yeah, what sort of, obviously as a team you guys all clicked during the season, but what sort of clicked for you during the season that kept your body right as well to play 25 games as like a front rower getting bashed every week? It's pretty impressive. What sort of clicked for you during the season?
Just finding that balance. Like you said, we kind of had, well, to be fair, we probably had a bit of an up and down start to the season. We started really well the first round and then sort of fluctuated with performances in the middle part of the year, and it was just sort of finding that balance of how we wanted to play. Obviously, there's talk around the preseason and how tough that it was, and it definitely was up there for one of the toughest I've done. But when we found the way we wanted to play, and personally, it was like trying to find my way of getting my body right to make sure that I can perform each and every week. And I think that only comes really with experience, and you learn your body and what's best for your body. So I was just making sure that I was doing that each week.
Yeah, I know you were saying that the preseason was really tough, and I know that was in the media a lot. How did you boys not deal with the toughness of it, because obviously that's just what the preseason is, but deal with that sort of negativity in the media?
Yeah, it's a funny one because obviously I read had the speculation of how hard it was and that Madge was like putting us through the ringers and that. And to be fair, like we all embraced it pretty much straight away. We knew every preseason's tough. Like coaches just have different ways of doing it. And it probably took us a couple of weeks to realise the extent of what it'd be like. But once we knew that and knew how much work we had to put in, then we all just owned what we had to do and everybody ripped in, everybody gave it their best effort. And ultimately, it paid off at the end of the year. Like you're seeing a lot of those games towards the end of the year, we're winning in the second halves and come from behind. So that just comes down to the work we did in the preseason. And we knew from the start that the hard work would pay off. It was just making sure that we believed in that.
Yeah, it's pretty funny how it works. Like at the start of the season, all the media saying, "Oh, they're working them too hard." And then at the end of the season, it's like, "Oh, Madge is a genius." You know what I mean? How did you go with Madge come in, like obviously a new coach, and he just come off winning an Origin series? How's that?
Yeah, no, it's like you said, it was a weird circumstances in terms of how it finished with Kevy and then how Madge come in. But as an individual, as a player, we can't really control much with what happens. So if the club obviously seen a reason as to why they wanted to make Madge the coach, and as players, we just try to embrace what he was to bring to the club. And he's a very good people's person along with a hard trainer. So like I said before, we just had to buy into what he wanted to bring into the club, and we did that pretty early on. And we knew that it's a long season and it's a roller coaster kind of season, but we believed in his methodology, and like I said, yeah, it paid dividends in the end. Yeah.
Was there anything like in preseason that kind of sticks out to you that you're like, this is fucked? Like this?
Oh, plenty of stuff. No, a lot of those things were just. I'll give an example. Like on a Tuesday, we'd probably do 3 to 4 sessions in the day, but you start off with like a lower body gym session into about a 2-hour wrestle session, but then you'd be on the field at the end of the day. And the field session wasn't excruciating hard. It was more so just a mental barrier of making sure you're doing everything right, making sure you're concentrating under that fatigue because it'd been such a long day. So those kind of little things that you never really used to before, and you do get used to them over the preseason, but it was more so just because it was that new that it was a bit weird to start with.
Like you guys, especially in those 3 finals games, like the first final, second final, and the grand final, you were trailing in all 3 of those games. Do you pay that up to getting like flogged in the preseason during the season that you had the gas in the tank to keep going?
Yeah, that was one aspect. There was also, I know there was other games during the regular season where we'd come from behind, and I think notoriously the Broncos have been known as a front-running team. So if we had the lead at halftime, we're generally hard to bring down. And there's also been speculation that if we're behind, then we're one of the teams that kind of just fold. And that kind of sort of played with us for a while. We wanted to be a team that could play an 80-minute performance. And I think there was one game there I actually remember. We played Cronulla here at Suncorp, and it was a regular season game. And again, we came from behind. I think they were up by 12 or 16 points. And that was when I really found that, okay, we stick to our game plan here, no matter where it is or what the scoreboard is at what time, we can come home if we play our footy. And I think the belief grew within the squad after that game, and then we knew then that if we were in that circumstance again, that we could obviously come home with a win in that. So that really paved the way, I feel, for the finals run. Because like I said before, a lot of us just knew us as a front-running team, and it's probably makes sense and it's probably warranted because there has been times in the past where we'd have or be behind at half-time and the league could blow out to 40+. So we wanted to try and change that.
Yeah, what's the talk in the dressing rooms, especially in those finals games when you're down by 10 or so at halftime? Is it still pretty relaxed and positive?
Yeah, it's exactly that. Like I said, it's knowing now that we've obviously first and foremost put in the work in the preseason, so we're fit enough to be able to do it, but also have been in games where we have been behind and come out the better team. And I think having that experience of those games and getting the win over it mentally, we're like, okay, it doesn't matter who we play here. We play our footy. It worries most teams. And as soon as we get a sniff, and you've seen the individuals that we have on our side, they get a sniff, there's a bit of energy around the group, there's a bit of confidence in the group, then we generally score points.
Yeah. The first semi, the Canberra game, mate, when I was watching that game, I was at my missus' house and I was watching it on my laptop, and I was just laying in her bed, and then I was like, fuck, I need to I put my laptop on a desk thing, and it was just sitting on the floor, and then because they scored the tries or whatever, yeah. And then when Reese got hit in the leg, mate, and then Ben Hunt kicking the fucking field goal was insane. What was it like actually being a part of that game?
Oh, it's a funny one because so many people have asked me the same question, and probably more so about that game than the grand final, to be fair. But it was one of those games where watching it, you probably thought that we lost it 2 times there, and it's a funny one because there was another one of those games where I think Walshy got sin binned, and then Paddy Carrigan got sin binned as well. So we're down to 11 at one stage, and I remember some of the boys saying that when Walshy and Paddy were in the dressing room there, they sort of had a pack about going out there and just giving it a crack, and whatever happened, happened. And then I think when Walshy come back on the field there, it was around that 20, 25 minute to go period, and something just flicked a switch, and then we just started playing our footy, and for whatever reason, the confidence grew. And like you said, to win that game like that with Honey kicking the field goal in extra time, I think it was a 95-minute game or something like that. Never been a part of something like that before, and just so thankful we won that game because obviously the following week I seen how much it took out of Canberra, and it would have been so tough to back up and play.
Yeah. It's funny you talk about like Reese Walsh getting sin binned, but it's like I don't know who I heard talking about it. Maybe Matty Johns or something saying that it was almost an advantage for you guys to have someone like him go off for 10 minutes and then come back on. Everyone is gassed because they had someone in the bin as well. Hudson Young.
Yeah, Hudson Young. Yeah.
And someone as electric as him to come back on and just start carving up Canberra. It was unreal. What was the dressing rooms like after that game?
Oh, it was actually a funny one because, like you said, at half time we were obviously behind by a fair bit, and then have that to happen with Walshy and then to Paddy and then down to 11 men. The feeling after the game was pretty special, to be fair. Like we obviously had to fight our way out of that game, and we were lucky enough to get away with it, some would say, because there was obviously a lot of things that could have gone their way as well. But to be able to stick in that game and stick in the processes that we've spoken about all preseason, and then for it to come to fruition in such a big game like that, it was a pretty special feeling.
And then moving on to the Penrith game, mate, I want to take you back 2 years before that, the 23 grand final. What sort of, I don't know what's the right word, what sort of, was that in the back of your minds going into that game? Or was it just like, that's done, this is a new game, let's go?
Oh, for me personally, it was done. I can't speak for what other people were thinking about that too. And I just feel like our squad in general has grown so much in that 2-year period. We're probably fortunate that we got to keep most of the personnel that played in that 23 grand final. So having that experience of what happened and not wanting to happen again was a massive motivating factor for us. And I think it all just sort of coincided with the different things that happened to us through the year, between obviously being behind at halftime and being learn how to come back, the confidence within the group, and then having that grand final, that how they beat us in the grand final that year was similar to how we would have had to beat them in the one this year. So to be a part of that game, then you had 52,000 screaming fans there. Like, I've never played a game that was so deafening and so loud. Like, I've even been to an Origin game at Suncorp, and it was that feeling. Like, it was something pretty crazy. But to have all those sort of thoughts going through your head, for me personally, it was more about just playing our game and having belief that, yes, obviously they're a great side, but we can play the footy to match them.
Yeah. Do you get nervous before games? Are you like nervous, or do you just?
I'm actually, I've said this to a few people, I'm extremely nervous to the point where I vomit before game.
Really?
Yeah. So, and it might not be vomiting anything up. It's just the feeling of needing to vomit. And that's just me from, regardless if it's a normal, and I've been that since I was a kid. So regardless if it's a normal social league game or an NRL game or even a final, like, I just get that nervous. And I think I just put it down to because I care about how I perform and how the team goes. But I've tried that hard to stop it. It's just some of those things I just got to get used to, and it just happens.
You're obviously in the brunt of the battle the first 20 minutes especially. What are the first 20 minutes like in games like that? Obviously they're fast and aggressive. What's it like for you?
Yeah, very similar. Like you said, it's fast, it's aggressive. It's just making sure that we're controlling the things that we can control. I know a lot of the times the first 20 is about getting into that arm wrestle of a game. It's about high completions, making sure you're getting through your sets of 6 and getting the kicks. And that's something that we're still getting better at. Like, I feel that we can still be better at as a team. But towards the back end of the year, we found that, okay, yes, we've got the attacking flair, but we don't have to pull the trigger every single play. And once we learn how to do that, learn how to take the right options at the right times, that's when we became more dangerous, because we're obviously a pretty fit group. So then we knew the more time the ball's in play, the more time we have possession, that ultimately we can score points. So obviously that first 20 minutes is vital. Like, it's I think the game's played now on a lot of possession and who has momentum in that. So it's crucial to be able to, if not get a bit of momentum, but obviously stay equal with the team. And then, it sets you up really for the back end of the game.
Yeah, you talked about how nervous you get before games. How nervous were you before the grand final?
Extremely nervous. It's probably a funny one because like we'd obviously worked so hard to get there during the year, and we knew that we'd put in the work, not just in the preseason, but in the games leading up to it. And we obviously knocked off Canberra, who were minor premiers, then Penrith, who were the 4-time premiers. So we had the runs on the board that we knew that our game could beat anyone. And I think during the year we were 1-1 with Melbourne. They beat us once, we beat them once, and so we knew our best game could beat Melbourne. Obviously, they're a very good side who have been in finals. I don't know, something crazy record the last 10 to 12 years, and obviously have the master coach up there that'll have them primed for the game. So we knew that it was going to be a very hard game, a very hard game, and they obviously lost the grand final the year before, so they've probably got the redemption thought about them too. And I guess it played out perfectly for us, really. Like the sort of the story that was run for most of the year and the final series especially, to be able to come home the way we did was, it's still hard to talk about or believe now, to be honest. It hasn't really sunk in.
Yeah, what's the week leading up to a grand final like for you? Do you take it pretty relaxed, or do you treat it differently?
No, I try and treat it the same as a game. It obviously is very different grand final week because you have so much media commitments, you have so much fan days and stuff like that. And I think it's something that our squad learnt a lot from 23. Like a lot of those guys are very young guys who probably hadn't experienced a grand final before, and just the enormity of what goes into the week, and maybe got a bit overawed in that 23. And I felt this year we knew when it was time to, because you got to enjoy the week. Like not many people get to the grand final, so you got to enjoy the fan days for what it is, but also know when to switch on for training and making sure you're getting your preparation right for the game. And I feel this year, compared to 23, we did that so much better. And ultimately, everyone was ready to go and very confident going into the game that we could get the job done.
Yeah, how do you balance that, enjoying the week and being serious at the same time?
Yeah, like I said, it's a funny one because, and it's a thing that I think that especially the younger guys learnt a lot from the first time that they were the grand final. And you do have to enjoy it. Like I know all the coaching staff really told us to embrace that and be like, well, not many people get to a grand final, so go out there and enjoy it for what it is. You've worked hard to get there, but when it was time to train and time to switch on for, ultimately you want to win the grand final. So that was a massive thing for us, and between the coaches, the leadership group, everyone like that was really good at nailing down, getting training right, then enjoying your company, everything away from the field. And like I said, we were prepared as best we could for the game.
Yeah, was there like a moment where you're kind of maybe on the bus to the game, running out there, where you're like, it kind of sunk in, like, oh, we're back here, we need to get it done this time?
Yeah, it was actually funny because there was a few of us boys that it's probably before the Penrith game, I reckon, and having that motivating factor of, and we just didn't feel like that we were going to lose the games, and we're going to the grand final. I know a few of the boys who were like, we even spoke about it quietly between individuals, saying that we're not losing this game tonight, regardless of what it was. And it was just that mentality, I think, around that we were willing to do whatever it took to get the win. Obviously, being so close in 23 and still being so pretty much, I wouldn't say like, obviously the memory's still there, but it's still pretty new in the fact that it was only 2 years ago that it happened to us. It was like, we don't want that feeling to happen again. And for us, it was more so like, we're going to do whatever it took to win, regardless of how we did it, or if it had to be another 95-minute game or whatever it took to get there, then we weren't going to have the same feeling as 23.
Yeah, you took the first hit up of the grand final. Do you even remember it, or is it just like flow state straight into it?
No, I definitely do remember it. And like, it's funny, between me and Payno, like I obviously know they're going to kick to my side before they kick to Payno. That's just makes sense. But because he always would say to me, he goes, "Oh, you happy to take it?" And for me, it was just the way I wanted to get into the game. So if that meant taking the first hit up or having the first tackle, then I wanted to be a part of it. And it's such a big emotional roller coaster the whole week and leading to the game. You just want to get into it as quick as you can because it can go so quickly too. So yes, I do remember it, and I wanted to take it. So I was fortunate enough that they kicked it off to me because it got me into the game, and it was everything I expected. Obviously, they want to take your head off, but like I said, it's a good way of getting into a game, especially a game like that.
Do you even when you like I don't know if it was Reynolds or Ben Hunt that caught the ball. Do you even look up who you're running at or aim for anyone, or just fucking go?
Yeah, it's a hard one because you want to try and get in decent field position for play too, because obviously the second play off the kickoff, depending on how my carry or Payne's carry goes, can be pretty daunting for the second carrier too, just especially if we get dominated in a way. And then also where the ball gets kicked, it's hard to be able to determine where you're going to run off that. You don't want to be running too sideways because you get taken backwards, but you also got to get in a decent field position. So it all varies off where you get the ball. But generally, I just try and make it a positive as carry as I can, whether that's like hitting, trying to find the ground as quick as I can, or find a little bit of a space just to make the next play a lot easier for whoever has to take that.
You said, like, obviously talking about nerves again. Does that get your nerves are gone straight away as soon as you get that first hit up or first tackle?
Yeah, straight away. Like I said, it's more so just getting into the game, getting the feel of it, because once you're in it, to be fair, like probably other than that Suncorp game, once you're out there and you feel it and like you just zone straight into the game. Like you can't really hear too much outside noise. You can't really hear too much what's going on. Like you just that zoned into what you have to do in your job and your role for the team, that as soon as that first tackle or hit up's done, then you're sweet. It's like another game of footy.
Yeah. Obviously, being a front rower, you're in rotation, so you're coming off and on the bench. Do you get nervous when you go back on the bench and come back on, or is it like you're just on?
A little bit. I think it all depends on how the game's sort of going at the time too. Obviously, if you're out there in the arm wrestle for the first 20, 25 minutes, if you know that momentum's going our way or not going our way, it's very important. I guess if it's not going our way and then the benchies come on and they change momentum, then we have to go out there and keep that momentum and then vice versa. If they've got momentum, we got to try and change it there too. So I guess it does fluctuate depending on how the game's going. It's definitely a nicer feeling when you go back on there and you're up by 20 or 30 and like you can kind of relax in a way and just play your job and making sure you're getting through your sets and that. But yeah, again, it all depends on the situation of the game.
What were the messages like getting sent down from the box while you're sitting on the bench in the grand final? Was it all like positive, like just keep going?
Yeah, it's funny because we knew, like we look at games and whatnot and go back and look at trends, and there was probably a period there where we seen that Melbourne kind of have a bit of a dip in their form off the back of halftime. So there was probably a talk there at halftime that obviously we knew that, and then we've obviously we're strong second half teams at the back end of the year. So it's very calm. It's about sticking to process, sticking to the game plan. They'll give you opportunities off the back of what we've seen during the year, and we're lucky that I guess we scored first in that second half, and then everyone in our team obviously got the bit of a confidence about us. And obviously Melbourne, they would have known that we were a decent second half team, so who knows, they might have felt a bit of not complacency, but like, oh, well, crap, they played pretty good second half team. Like they could be a bit worried at the same time too. And I guess we started feeling that and knew that our game was starting to come on. And then obviously we lost Renault and then we lost Hunty and that there during the grand final. So we're like, oh crap, like what's going to happen here? And that last 10 minutes, I remember being out there and I just felt like I was running side to side, just trying to cover as many tackles as possible. But yeah, we dug in there, and then when Ricky caught that ball, it was just such a central relief.
Yeah, I remember watching you boys that last 10 minutes, and we're like, I was with my mates at the pub, and we're like, fuck, they just got to hold on. Like,
just dropping like flies left, right, and center, and then people playing that normally play in the middle were playing center, and it was all over the place. But it was just like defend.
You just see like Adam Reynolds on the sideline, like he's like praying. For hold on.
It was funny. I've actually seen there must have been a nice little photo there, but like have Hunty and Reynolds at the end of the game, both on the sidelines, and they're obviously both veterans of the game who played a lot, and then be able to them to embrace and win it together was something pretty special. So to be able to do that when you got your two most experienced players on the sideline was pretty big raps to the guys on the field. Yeah,
it's crazy, sort of the redemption story of not just from the 23, but from Ben Hunt from 2015, Adam Reynolds from 2021. Yeah. It's crazy. Like obviously Ben Hunt kicked the field goal, and then Adam Reynolds kicks that goal to send you guys boys to the grand final. Was there any talk around that, or was it just this is just the job we need to do?
It was more than just a job. Like obviously we all knew, and I know like Hunty probably downplays it, and no one ever like obviously blames him for what happened in 2015. But I knew that it was a chip on his shoulder. He's had to have that for 10 years now. So for him to be able to get the premiership that he finally deserves off the back of what happened 10 years ago now was something pretty special, and something I'm so thankful to be a part of, because like I see how much of an ultimate professional he is with how he looks after himself, with how he gets up, how competitive he is. So for him to be able to, for me to be able to be a part of a premiership that for somebody who deserves it so much from what he's been through was something pretty special. And like you said, Reno, I remember to someone asking him about when he take that conversion. I think Walshy must have said, "Oh, do you want me to take it?" And he was so adamant that he wanted to take that sideline conversion off the back of that. And then for him to slot it the way he did, it just goes to show for both Reno and Hunty the type of player and people they are. They're ultimate competitors, and they want to prove people wrong, and they both got their chance and ultimately got the rewards at the end of it.
Yeah, what was it like when Jordan Ricky called that ball? The siren finally goes after it probably felt like 5 hours, that last 10 minutes. What's the feeling?
Oh, it's hard. People ask me, and it's still hard to fathom kind of how you actually feel. Like you got to be a part of it and be out there to truly know the sense of. And it was more. A lot of it was relief. A lot of it was obviously very happy, over the moon, like excited about what happened. But you just think about the hard work that you put in through the whole year, the ups and downs of the season, the games that sort of we've been through to get you to that position, and what we've had to go through as a group, and also certain individuals there too. It obviously it was more so a relief that just everything just paid off. How hard we've worked, how close we came as a group. It was like, oh yes, this is all worth it at the end. And it's a feeling you won't ever forget. And it's a feeling that you want to, and I can see why Penrith, when people say, oh, how hard is it to get up year on year to win the premiership? Like you want that feeling all the time. So when you get in those games and when you get to that finals back end of the year, like there's no better feeling than winning it now that you've actually experienced it. So I can see why that was so good for so long.
Yeah. Well, I would touch on that game. Obviously, Reese Walsh. Mate, is he human? Or
It's kind of funny when people say that, because everyone was like, oh, you're going to keep drinking toilet water or whatever it was. And I said, look, honestly, if Reese keeps playing the way he does, I don't care what he drinks or how he drinks it after that. Like, he was, from that Canberra game when, like I said before, about how he had a pact of going out there and just playing footy, and whatever, if it comes off, it comes off. And obviously, he's such a confident player and he can see things on footy fields that a lot of people can't see. And I remember that try he scored, one-off hit up against Melbourne, but to basically get us going in that grand final.
Mate, that was insane.
Exactly, and it's a thing that no other player could probably see what was going on at the time, like Reese can, and he's been doing that all year. And that's the thing, like him coming out the back of a Renault or an Ezra kind of thing, and he looks up and he can see stuff or be able to take people apart better than any player I've seen him do. And the scary thing about Walshy is that he's still so young and he wants to improve so much. So I'm just so thankful he's on my side, to be honest.
It's funny that I spoke to Jimmy Maloney yesterday on the pod, and I remember watching him growing up, and he'd come down and throw an intercept on one end of the field. The team would run and score, but the next play, it's like he had memory loss or something, and he'd throw the exact same pass and it'd come off and they'd score. I feel like Reese Walsh is sort of similar. He's just backs himself in anything he does.
Exactly, 100%. And that's the thing. Like we've come to learn with Walshy, and he could score you or set you up 3 tries, but he may also come up with 3 errors. And that's just what you got to give and take. And you got to give him credit that he backs his confidence and backs his ability to come up with the big plays. And hence why he's such a great player, because he has that ability to be like, okay, I will try something. It may not come off, but I'm going to keep at it. And ultimately, like most of the time, it comes off more than it doesn't. And it's probably taken a little while for us as a group, because when you get into the trenches and you get into the back and forth grind, especially playing in the middle, and he might come up with a play that he's not happy with or might make an error or something like that. And it can be hard at times as middles but then we've sort of grown now to be like, okay, well, it is what it is with Reese. Like he's going to do that, but he also will score you or set you up 3 tries. So you got to take the good with the bad and those things. And Walshy's definitely learnt when to take the right option and when to hold back and just run and just back yourself. Because I think one of his biggest strengths too is his running game. Like he's such a fast, elusive player who can move across the field really well.
He's so strong as well.
Exactly.
I feel like
exactly strong through the hips, strong through the legs. So, and I think he started to finally realize that he doesn't have to do the miracle ball, like the pass or the big play to actually make something happen. Him running is just a bigger threat as it is to him kicking or passing a ball as well. And I know opposition people would probably hate when he runs the ball. So we're just trying to drive into him to be able to run first and foremost, and then if you see something, just back yourself.
Yeah, I want to take you back to your childhood. Where'd you grow up, and how was it growing up?
Yeah, so I was born in Townsville, but I grew up in a small country town called Bowen, which is about 2 hours south of Townsville. I basically spent my whole childhood there. I went through juniors there, went to a small primary school, then went into the high school over there at Bowen High. There's only one high school in Bowen High, so went there until grade 11 and then sort of made the transition to Townsville at the back end of that and went to Ignatius Park College. I was in the Cowboy system at the time. So I kind of went there and then it was more so them saying, look, we need you to come to a more football-dominated school just to get more exposure to more games throughout the year and really sort of develop your skills that way. So, went to Iggy Park only for the 1 year, so graduated there in, I think, 2011, so a long time ago now. And then went into the 20 system at Cows off the back of that.
Yeah, was it always footy growing up? Was it just footy, or did you kind of bounce around a few sports?
No, it's funny. I didn't start playing footy, I reckon, until I was 12 years old. And it was more so just the fact of being in such a small country town. It was wherever your mates went and played sport, you basically followed, or you just did everything together as a group. And they started out playing soccer, and then rugby league wasn't a massive thing at the time. Everyone played soccer, and it was kind of a newish thing. So my mates were like, oh, well, let's go and give it a crack. So I kind of just followed them, really. And we had a pretty strong club side. Bowen played in the Townsville competition, and they had like sort of surrounding towns that they'd play there. And we actually fared pretty well considering we're from such a small town. And we stuck together for, I reckon, 5 or 6 years, basically all through high school there in the junior league. So, I guess looking back on it now, I'm thankful that I did follow them. Because I definitely wouldn't be a soccer player right now, that's for sure.
When did you realize, like, oh, I'm actually not bad at this? This could be something.
Well, it's funny because, like, I think I was 12 was my first year, and it was like under 12 schoolboy. So I made the North Queensland side there. And I think that was just off the sheer fact that I was a lot bigger than a lot of kids back then. And I guess a lot of people mature at different ages through that time. And I think probably wasn't until under 15s. Like kept playing club footy and that. And then under 15s, I made the Queensland white side, which is like the second. There's maroon and white to go to the Nationals. I made the second Queensland side, and that was when the Cowboys were like, oh, we'll put you on a scholarship and then see how you go. And I was like, oh, maybe I could make a go of it. Like, I wasn't the best Queensland side, but I was like thereabouts. And I guess for me, I was never the most gifted rugby league player. Like, I always just worked hard on what was my fitness, my strength, my game. So I knew, like, oh, if I keep that in good stead and keep doing those little fundamental things, then I know that when you get a bit older and everyone's ability and stuff is the same, it's those guys that want to work the hardest that ultimately will get you there. So I think just having that mindset, I was like, okay, if I can stick with it and stick with them in terms of the skill-wise, I'll have the work ethic to outwork a lot of these players.
Yeah, you said that when you started playing when you're 12 and 13, you were a lot bigger than everyone. I feel like there's a lot of kids not a lot of kids, but there's always those few kids that are bigger than everyone, and everyone at that age, like, oh, this kid's going to make the NRL. But then when everyone catches up, they kind of fall back a bit. How did you continue improving a lot when everyone caught up to your size as well? Yeah,
that's like I said before, that's another thing where I was like, and I knew everyone would catch up to, whether it be size, ability, skill level, everything. Everyone gets great coaching when you get to a certain age. So that's where I knew that I was like, okay, I've always had to work hard or work a bit harder than somebody else to make those sort of sides. And I was like, if I can just keep doing the hard work and the extra stuff that nobody else sees or nobody else does, and a lot of those kids there would go to your trainings that are set aside, and that's about it. So I was like, I have to do the additional work on the outside to make sure I'm one step ahead of these players. And ultimately I know, and I got told that many times from teachers or from other people, is like only so many percentage people make NRL, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, well, I didn't want to be a person that had regrets and be like, oh, if I don't bust my ass and like give it my all here, then I don't want to be down the track and be like, oh, seeing somebody is like, oh, I could have been as good as him and played NRL kind of thing. So that was always just instilled in me, is just be the hardest worker out there, whether it's on the footy field or away from when nobody sees it. Just keep working, keep toiling away. And if it doesn't happen, then it doesn't happen. But obviously I was thankful enough that I got there in the end.
Yeah, what type of things were you doing, especially at that young age? I know there's not much choice of what you can do, especially when you're young. What type of stuff were you doing to, like, those 1%er type things?
Just work. I was probably fortunate enough that I've always been around sport. I had a pretty good understanding of like the sports science concept around how to look after your body, but also how to train your body to, I guess, to meet the demands of footy. Like whether you're doing runs or, for me as a middle, obviously I do a lot of Malcolm stuff, a lot of stuff off the ground, up, downs, and just stuff that you don't really like doing, but obviously that plays part in what you do is in your role in the team. And I was pretty smart growing up. Like I could see the areas where I needed to get better at. I was obviously a big kid, so then my aerobic work wasn't great. So I did a lot more running, a lot more volume stuff of and just doing stuff outside your normal club training. Like a lot of times you'd go to a club training and you might do a few team plays or stuff like that and go through sets of hands, and then come the game time, like because you haven't done that aerobic or that fitness work, like you can blow up pretty quickly. And I was just trying to find little avenues that we didn't work on much during the week in terms of just a normal training and doing that. So then I knew that all sort of areas within my game were sort of ticked off, so I was able to perform. And that was even when I was in club footy. So it was just making sure that I was doing the most I could to be able to perform the best I can.
I know you started at the Cowboys, made your debut at the Cowboys. First of all, what was it like you finally got there making your NRL debut?
It was obviously a very surreal moment. I was probably a bit of a late bloomer when it came to the NRL. Like I did 3 years in the Holden Cup back then when they played in the under-20s at Cows, and then I had 3 years there where I wasn't in a full-time system. I remember at the end of 20s, they obviously came and told me, actually at that time, that I was too small to play in the NRL. I think I was playing back row and I was about 90 odd kilos. So I wasn't a massive kid. But in saying that, so I went away, did 3 years at the Townsville Blackhawks, which was only a new team the year I finished playing 20. So it was their inaugural year in 2015 and was a part of that. And we made the GF that year and then lost to Ipswich in the grand final. But yeah, so having 3 years there, it was probably a blessing, I guess, in disguise, really, because the physicality and the demands of playing NRL, you obviously had to probably take that path of playing Queensland Cup footy and playing against men. And so I was basically probably playing where I would have been if I was signed full-time anyway. Yeah. So then got 3 years done under my belt there, and then Cows offered me a 1 year deal in end of 2016 to have my first year in 2017 at the Cows, and then ultimately played a grand final in my first year in the NRL. So I was just like, what dreams are made of, really. You come in first year NRL and you play 17 games in your grand final. I was like, oh, this is easy. And then obviously it's not. We got touched up that game actually against Melbourne, but just the process of how to get there was obviously a long journey, but it's one that probably was required to set me up for where I am now.
Yeah, was there ever a point where, were you working while you were obviously only playing footy part-time? Were you working as well?
Yeah, so I was working 2 jobs actually. I was a teacher aide at a primary school there in Townsville, and then also like a bartender, sort of groundsman at the grounds where we trained for Blackhawks. So I'd go in there and do, some days I'd go in there at 6 and sort of do cellar work, groundworks work and stuff like that until 2. And then other days I'd go to school and do teacher aide work. So it was an all-round busy day, because in the afternoons you'd obviously going and doing your cup training and stuff. So it also gave me a bit of an appreciative of how those part-time players what they have to deal with each and every day to play cup footy. And we're very fortunate, obviously, being in an NRL system and being full-time. That's your sole job and your sole focus. So every time the times that I've had to play cup and go back, I know what position they're in and how hard they work to try and either chase their dreams or also just play footy for the love of it. So I respect those guys a hell of a lot, because I know how hard it is to be able to be a part-time footy player.
Was there ever a point where you just thought, fuck this isn't going to work out, I'm just going to go get a normal job or whatever?
Oh, it's funny you say that, because at the time, at the end of 20, when I finished playing 20s, like I've obviously got my wife now, but at the time was my partner who I'd been with since school, and there was and she was doing uni in Townsville as well, and there was no cup side in Townsville at the time. So I was like, oh, if I want to continue doing this, I'm going to have to move to another Queensland Cup-based club with no guarantees of getting signed to a first grade gig, and also living apart from her because she was completing uni at the time then too. And at that time, I was like, oh, I may just have to give this away. Like, it's just one of those things that's going to be too hard, especially with no guarantee of getting a first grade contract, that maybe I'll just play park footy and get a normal job. And I was fortunate enough that that's when the Blackhawks come into the competition. And actually the inaugural coach was Christian Wolf, who's the Redcliffe coach now. And he came in and he gave me the opportunity of being part there. And like, if that didn't happen or that club didn't come in, I don't know what would have happened to me, to be fair. And then it was kind of like all right, it's a meant to be kind of moment when it's coming in. It's like, you're meant to give this a crack. You're meant to give this a go. Like, this is your avenue to see how far you can go with it. And yeah, so like I said, I don't know what could have happened if they didn't come in.
You said you've been with your wife since high school. How important has she been in your whole journey?
Oh, it's huge. Like, it's kind of hard to put into words, to be fair. She's seen the highs and lows of what it takes in the NRL. And there's obviously a lot more lows than what people see out there. Like, it's not, I wish it was all rain, sunshine, and rainbows and stuff like that. But it's so hard and so demanding, not just on myself, but obviously on your family members and your partners. And and they read all the scrutiny that gets written about you. They see all the things that you have to go through, and they ride those emotions as well. But she's stuck beside me ever since I started playing football. And what I love about her is she's never loved me for being the football player. She just loved me for the person that I am. And we'd been together since I started my football journey pretty much. And we started dating 6 months before I moved to Townsville for my last year of school. And it was one of those things that was like, oh, if it works out, it works out. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And through because she's very dedicated and was very dedicated in her studies. Like she's a vet now and a director within her business now too. So she's always been very motivated to do well in her own area. And that's what I kind of love about it really motivates me is seeing someone so committed to their passion and what they want to do in their future. And she's never, I guess, she's never gone away from that. Even now, like she's looking at ways of getting better. Like she loves doing cattle work. She's out doing cattle reproduction stuff out west and that. And she's just doing what she loves to do. And I know it's not easy being associated with someone who's in the spotlight all the time or someone. And she kind of gets a bit overwhelmed when she has to go to, not social things, but like big gatherings and stuff like that, just because she's always been a small country kid who like loves the country thing. She's from a cattle property, just one of those ones, but she's never gone away from just being my 100% support network for myself, but also never gone away from striving for what she wants to do. And I get a lot of respect out of that. And like I can see, and I really value that about her is how much, and I guess what I'm trying to say is her drive and motivation motivates me to want to be better too. And it's just sort of worked out. It's balanced really well.
Broncos as a whole obviously released the full black jersey, probably one of the coolest jerseys I've ever seen. But it was linked within the Black Dog Institute. And I know you did some work with them. I saw the video Broncos posted. Why was that so important to you?
I think for me personally, like I've had a lot of mates who have lost their life with suicide. It's one of those things that I don't think gets spoken about enough, especially within professional sport, how much of an impact or how big it is in terms of and I know it's probably a lot to do with the male population, but a lot of male men I don't feel speak their mind or speak how they actually feel about things. And I guess for the club as an initiative, because there's so many, football's such a big game, it's so much in the spotlight, so much goes through individuals mentally and stuff like that. And it's hard to ride that roller coaster. And being able to be part of an initiative like that, where I've had mates who have lost their life with suicide, actually a lot of good ex-NRL players, or not NRL players, but football players in their own rights who have committed suicide so young, and just being able to advocate that it's okay to speak up. And like a lot of individuals, a lot of men are probably going through similar things. So having a voice where you might be able to talk about something that another person's going through the same thing. So having that avenue, that safe space to be able to promote that and be able to come out and speak your mind and speak how you feel. I just feel that it needs to be, needs to be heard of more than what it is. So I thought it was a massive thing for what the club did. And I hope that the initiative that the club kind of did has spread that word and spread that awareness so that it's okay to talk. And you got people out there that are probably in the same situation as you that would be more than happy to listen.
Yeah. Did you guys sort of do anything as a group with that? Or was it like, I know you obviously did the jerseys and the video, and I think it was you, Jesse and Katoni. Yeah. Did you guys do anything as a whole group?
It's funny because like they ask you that, and we don't do it as like a formal thing as a group, but we have group chats and we have stuff like that where we literally reach out and make sure that everyone's doing okay. And I touched on before that we have such a close knit group and such a connected group that no one feels daunted or scared to say anything or to speak up within our four walls. Like everyone's respected, everyone's looked after really well, that if you had an issue, no matter how big or small it is, you could go and speak to any one of the players and they'd have your support, they'd have your back. And I think that's why our club is such a great club, in that you can talk about people about anything, or you can open about some serious stuff that's going on in your life, and you won't feel like you're going to get criticised, or you feel like you won't get, portrayed as somebody that might be soft, or somebody that might be like, oh, well, they're like, why do we have to hear about this? Like, it's just, but in saying that, like, and I find having those kind of group chats, and there might be other clubs, there obviously would be other clubs that would do that, but just having that safe space where you can go and open up and go and ask people how they are and know you're going to get a correct response back is so important. So in saying, like, answering your question, we don't have something specifically from the jersey that we did, but we have an ongoing thing where we're checking up on how each other is.
How do you think you guys built that? Because I feel like especially all the successful teams have that really tight-knit culture. Everyone, like, you can say whatever you want. Everyone can be themselves. How do you think you guys built that specifically?
Yeah, it's very hard. Like you said, it's not easy to be able to open up on stuff, especially stuff that's so personal to you or so close to you. But I think for me, ever since I come to Bronx in 22, and it's a club where from the staff that works upstairs to the players that are downstairs are such one connected group that we all have the same goals, we all have the same ambitions of being successful. And I think you need to have the connection that everyone's on the same page and everyone's a part of what you want to do or what you want to build that trust within the group. Especially this year, and like Madge always sort of harps on that. We've obviously got a leadership group, but everyone's a leader amongst the group and everyone has their voice and everyone has an opinion, and not to criticize someone, even if their opinion might not be what's right for that thing. Speak up, speak your mind, and there's no ridicule amongst anyone if the answer's wrong, or there's no wrong answer, I should say, to anything that people ask. And that's really come about. And like I said before, having a group that's been together for so long now, you obviously build trust over time and things that you go through and things you experience. And we've obviously experienced some very highs and lows throughout the 4 years I've been there, but it's made us stronger as a group. And you touched on, like, to have successful groups, you have to have that strong connection. And I guess Penrith and Melbourne have probably been the prime examples the last 10 years. And you've seen how successful they are as a club. It's because they've built that culture within the club that everyone feels part of a family, everyone feels welcomed, and hence why they're so successful.
Yeah, how do you guys say, or even when you came to the Broncos, or when a new player comes, how do you bring them into the mix, I guess, easily?
Yeah, well, for me, like I said, when I come in 22, I think I was coming in a time when they kind of had a fair bit of change going on. I know that Mead, Renault, like Billy Walters, I think Kurt Capewell came at the time. There was a bit of a change in terms of personnel that was coming in, and I don't know if that was a reflection of like other personnel that maybe weren't great for the group, so they kind of got rid of them and then brought in some new ones. But from that day to today, like, it's, as I said, it's a very family-orientated club who just wants to make you feel so at ease and stuff coming in. So it makes it like your job's easy, just coming in, you're training, you're working hard, and everything else is looked after for. Everyone cares about how you are, just not on the field but off the field. And I guess for us to be able to make that happen, you need to obviously have good people within the community, within the club that you can lean on, that you can talk to. And I guess for me, being an older head now, for the new guys that come in at the moment, like being a bit older, being a bit of a leader within the group, I reach out to them. Like I said, there's 2 boys that have started the club this year, and on their first day, I sent them a message and said, look, good luck. Like, I'm happy to have you at the club. Rip into preseason, like, looking forward to meeting up with you when we come in. Just those little things there just makes those individuals feel so welcomed. And like, I had that when I first came to the club, and like, I'm trying to do that for the guys that come in, or the new guys come in, because it's so important to have a whole squad connected to be successful.
I got a few little quick fire questions here. Just have a bit of fun. Get away from the serious chat. So it's just 10 questions, like nothing too intense.
I'll do my best.
Hardest player you've ever had to tackle?
It's funny because I've been asked this question so many times, and I have to say, when I was at the Cowboys, it was Payne Haas, like, obviously, and now I'm at the Broncos with Payne, it'd be Jason Tamalolo.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, I've been on the good side of both things and the bad side of both, so I'd have to say both of them.
Second, do you have like a habit that you have to, or not a habit, but something you do week to week or whatever that you can't have to tick it off your list, like that boosts your performance?
For me, I'm very big on the preparation kind of thing. So I try and make sure that I get out what I need to get out during the week. So then come game time, I know that the game's easy because I've done the work, whether that might be if I feel like I'm a bit underdone, a bit of conditioning. If I feel like I need to do a bit more contact work, I do that. A bit more gym if I feel like I need to be a bit more stronger. Like, I'll do that on a week to week, depending on how, 1, the game goes before and if I need to work on anything, and then 2, just how I feel personally going to a game. If I've ticked off everything that I think I need to be good at during the week, then I know that I can play the best on the weekend.
Number 3, hardest trainer.
Oh, that's a hard one, to be honest. I remember when I was at Cowboys, young, and he's only a young fella, Tommy Gilbert, who's at the Dolphins now. Yeah, so he's for someone so young, like he just goes full balls at everything he does, and I respect that. Like we're actually pretty good mates, to be fair. And so for me, he was a real eye opener coming through when I was a little bit older. And then at Bronx, it has to be Paddy or Payne. They try and lead everything in terms of what they do on the footy field. And even though I'm a little bit older than them now, I like look up to try and aspire to be like them. And I'm always at them with little tips on how I can be better. But yeah, at Bronx, those two hands down are the ones that try and, I guess, raise the standards, what we're trying to do in the group.
Yeah, I remember I heard a story about Payne Haas. I think Brad Fittler might have told it or something, that he went to it must have been like a 17s or 19s origin camp, and he won the beep test or something like that.
Yeah, well, we do like a, so we do Mount Cootha run up here in Brisbane, which is like a massive mountain kind of thing, and he wins that. So someone who's like 120 odd kilos and can outrun halfbacks and outside backs like easy as, like he's definitely not human. I've said that multiple times now with people that have asked me, but he's something special and just an absolute freak of an athlete.
Number 4, any superstitions?
Again, I've been asked this one. I try not to have any superstitions or rituals, especially because when you travel away, like a lot of people have things that they have to eat before games or have to do before games, and you can't really determine what you have sometimes when you go and stay at different places. So for me, I just try and do whatever I feel comfortable. Like I don't have something I have to do or something like that. Yeah, so I'm pretty relaxed when it comes to those things.
One word to describe the Broncos' play style.
Exciting.
Biggest pest.
Oh, this could be a conjecture one. Biggest pest. It's funny because everyone has their own little quirks or something. Billy Walters a bit of a pest. I give him that. Like he's a good mate of mine, but he's actually can be a bit of a pest too. So I have to say Billy's up there, and then Ezra just because he's young and cheeky, and like he just is always a happy little larrikin. So like he can stir you up a bit. But everyone's pretty good. Everyone has some nice banter amongst each other.
Yeah, that's good. Do you listen to? Is there a song you have to listen to before every game, or a playlist? What type of music?
Yeah, so I don't have an actual playlist, and I try and I love country music. That's just something that I'm into, and I don't try and have too much hyped music before games. Like I try and be relaxed. So whether it's just some nice country music that I listen to, like I try and just wait until I get into warm up before I really gear myself up. Otherwise, I kind of get too hyped up before games. Yeah. So just something, like country.
Yeah, I feel like I already know the answer to the next one, but proudest career moment.
Yeah, well, it's a funny one because like obviously the grand final is huge and be able to win that off the back of it, but then to be able to make my debut from where I come from the journey I had to take. Obviously, my parents who were not from a big family, but not a very rich kind of family. We obviously struggled at times, and then to have my wife there who's been through the whole lot of it, to make that debut and just to find that, or to show that everything sort of paid off at the end at 24 when I didn't think I was going to get there. That's probably has to be up there. It's just because of the journey that it took to get there, and then finally reaching the goal that a young kid from Bowen had always dreamt of was pretty special.
If you weren't playing footy, what would you be doing?
Oh, that's a hard one. I've always loved sport, and I've said to a few people, like I've got a sports science degree and I've got a business degree, so I'd love to be able to do or have my own gym or have my own sort of setup. And as I've gotten older and as I've sort of worked in this industry, I'd love to be able to set up like a sport development kind of thing for kids that are from small country towns, or be able to give back or go back home, or be able to do something or an avenue where they don't have to move away from home at such an early age. And I know it's hard because so many people say, oh, look, you have to move to bigger towns or move to this sort of thing to get into the NRL. And I think it's so hard on young kids to move away from home, especially when you're in such critical years of your schooling, and you've been through with peers and stuff through your whole sort of life, to uproot and just go away to be able to do that. So if I had my way, I'd be able to try and do or try and bring something or do something in small little communities that will allow them to still benefit from living there, but also be at a level that they can match it with big city towns, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. Last one, most underrated player at the Broncos.
I reckon for this year, and like he's probably only really come about this year at the back. Josiah Karapani, who played on the wing for us.
He played unreal.
For somebody who's like, and like I see him train. He's a very hard trainer, very diligent in what he does. But I didn't expect him to be a dude to what he has done this year. And I don't know whether it's kind of like a bit of a turning moment for him in his career. The year that he's had between him and obviously Xavier Willison. Like I've seen him come through, and he's actually my roomie at the Broncos now too. And I try and be, I guess, a bit of a nurturing kind of guy for someone like him. But between those two there, X probably isn't as underrated as what Josiah would be. But I feel that Josiah can get so much more better too. But what he was able to do for us at this end, the back end of the year, and once he got his opportunity, was pretty special.
Man, he scored that try against Penrith as well. That was freaky.
Yeah, and I said, and he's funny because he's such a laid back kind of character but he just does things on footy fields, and you just look at him and go, how'd you do that, or where'd that come from? Because you just don't see it all the time, but he can just pull things out, and he's a confident kid too. He's a bit like Walshy, where nothing really phases him. He's good under a high ball, he's very strong, he's a good yardage carrier. So I think he's only going to get better in a couple of years.
Yeah. Just to finish this off, I just got one sort of question thing. There's obviously millions of kids out there trying to make the NRL, trying to be professional athletes. Why did Corey Jensen make it?
Oh, probably because he's stubborn. No, for me, there's probably a way for me to say that I wanted to prove people wrong and just prove that the ideology that you can't make it from a small town. I wanted to sort of buck that trend and be like, okay, and yes, it's obviously a beneficial to living in a big city where you're exposed to a lot more rugby league or a lot more avenues to be able to do it, but it doesn't mean to say that if you're from a country town that you can't make it. It's obviously harder, and you have to have a work ethic. You have to make sacrifices. You have to be disciplined, probably more so than what you would be if you do live in one of those towns. But I just wanted to buck the trend of people saying that you can't make it from those kind of things, and also just to prove people wrong. So if I had to say something, it'd just be to work hard and to go out there and just believe in what you want to do and chase your dreams, I guess.
Yeah, and what's the plan for next year? Win another comp?
100%. That's definitely the goal. And I think I still feel that we've got levels that we can go to, especially within, we haven't reached the potential yet. And we're probably pretty fortunate that we've got the same personnel really going around that we had, barring two people that played in the grand final, going around again. So to be able to build off the combinations and build off what we've done this year. And I think now that we know that we can do it, the experience and the confidence that we'll get out of that, we'll only see individuals go better. And the fact that we've got such a young group still, like the Walshies and Ezras and those kind of players who are still so young in their careers, and for them to be able to experience that grand final and get it, I know that they're going to have huge success in years to come, and I'm looking forward to being part of that.
Well, Corey, you're a legend. Thanks for taking the time out of your day to come here. I know you're a busy man. Thanks for jumping on. Good luck with next season. Good luck with preseason. I know it'll be fucking tough, but it'll be good.
Nah, yeah, very fortunate. Yeah, thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
That's all right. Yeah.
Thank you.